Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your pal NOMZ here. And wouldn't you know it, my last video stirred such a hornet's nest of copium surrounding Across the Spider-Verse's really dumb plot. Link in the description, and I highly suggest you check it out, since it's regarding the ridiculous Canon Event plotline nonsense of Across the Spider-Verse, which not only ruined the mystique of the multiverse, or in this case the Spider-Verse, by insisting key events are part of some predetermined grand design and trivializing Peter Parker's journey to becoming Spider-Man as nothing inherently special or unique, not only, and very ironically mind you, broke the continuity of Into the Spider-Verse and other Spider-Man continuities it retroactively tries to tie into, and finally creates a broken and contradictive premise for the movie and its upcoming sequel that makes absolutely no sense timeline-wise, both for how much time has passed since the events of Into the Spider-Verse, as well as the events of Into the Spider-Verse itself, which obviously were not written with the plot of this sequel in mind, considering that the logic or lack thereof in Across the Spider-Verse for how canon-breaking rips the universe apart would have rendered Universe 1610 and Universe 42 having imploded on itself the moment Miles Morales was bitten by the radioactive spider. Again, if you want to hear me rant about the canon-breaking plotline in depth, check out the video. It does a much better job at outlining the very real problems with this movie's plot than I can possibly do here, because this video for the most part is going to talk about the other side of the issue. See, I kept getting this very persistent rebuttal spat back at me whenever I'm critical of the already shot to shit canon plotline of the Spider-Verse sequels, and I say sequels because I refuse to let this really dumb plot choice drag down the far superior original film, which, unlike Spider-Man No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse, had a much better grasp of how the multiverse is meant to work. But whenever I outline how nonsensical the canon-breaking event bullshit is, even when it's not stupidly retroactively trying to tie in with other continuities in order to try and rewrite the entire fucking franchise for these writers' own selfish spite towards the fans of Peter Parker and over 60 years of comic book stories that come with that character. See, the rebuttal that apparently nullifies all of this and makes all this canon crap okay is, what if Miguel OHara is actually wrong about the canon? Some people are insisting that Miguel isn't telling Miles the truth in order to cover his tracks, that he was the one to set the multiverse out of balance when he tried to live a normal life with his other self's family. Or it's him trying to attach meaning to everything that's gone wrong that simply isn't there. Or that since the movie frames Miguel as being in the wrong and Miles as being in the right, it goes without saying that Miguel is incorrect about the canon event breaking bullshit. Or in fact, there's this other theory that it's Spot that is actually causing everything to go wrong and Miguel is accusing Miles under false pretenses. Or some other butt-fuck wild theory for why the canon-breaking nonsense criticism is supposedly unfounded and moronic. NOMZ, didn't you know that the film is perfectly self-aware about the canon-breaking being nonsensical? Oh my gosh, how can you completely miss this point? Well, dipshit, obviously you missed the part where I previously discussed how the movie already validated Miguel's theory and treats it as factual. Now, be that as it may, that Lord & Miller, Amy Pascal, and Sony may pull the rug out from under Across the Spider-Verse and say, see, the canon is stupid and Miguel was wrong, so that Miles can still save his father without anything universe-breaking going wrong. And yes, you bigoted monster, Miles has just as much of a right to be Spider-Man as Peter Parker, and you must like him. Anyone can wear the mask, damn it!
You don't belong here. You never did.
I remember when Miles Morales comic book first came out, there were people who were rejecting Miles as a character, you know, for their reasons, not how we think it should be. And we wanted to talk directly to that and actually like almost stick it to that mentality of, no, anyone can wear the mask.
Yeah, writers, go fuck yourselves for giving credence to the vocal, microscopic fucking minority of 5 people who hated Miles Morales, whilst casting the middle finger at millions upon millions of people who adore Peter Parker and never had a problem with Miles Morales, especially from Into the Spider-Verse, until you decided to spite them, giving them an actual valid reason for having distaste towards the character, given how his entire story in the sequel was designed to put him on this morally righteous fucking pedestal and take a giant shit on the character of Peter Parker in not just the Spider-Verse continuity, but every fucking continuity. But see, therein lies the biggest problem with Across the Spider-Verse and this argument that Miguel being wrong is supposedly the point. But I'll get to that. Let's talk about the simple shit first, with why Miguel being wrong would still be disastrous for this movie and its upcoming sequel. See, here's the thing. Spider-Verse simps, when it comes to Miguel OHara's canon-breaking theory, that he's generated this entire algorithm to support, not only, if he's wrong, does it break continuity that Across the Spider-Verse has already established, rendering it completely inconsistent, since, as I already mentioned, Across the Spider-Verse has already showed cause and effect that canon breaking does in fact unravel the multiverse, since Miles apparently already broke canon by saving Inspector Singh from a very clearly non-canon event, which was still treated as one, and immediately starts to unravel the universe that Mumbattan exists in. Like I said, some people speculate that it was Spot causing the instability in Mumbattan, and that the black hole in Mumbattan wasn't the result of a canon event being broken, but that doesn't line up with the timeline at all, since this has apparently happened in other universes before Spot fucking figured out how to travel across the multiverse, and the fact that Miguel caused an entire universe to collapse on itself just for living in it after a version of himself was killed. So if Miguel is wrong, then how the fuck does that make any sense? The answer is, quite simply, it doesn't.
But wait! There's more!
Not only, if Miguel OHara is wrong, does that render all of this canon-breaking, multiverse rule crap completely meaningless, and therefore the inciting catalyst for his drama with Miles Morales completely meaningless as well, especially since all Miles has to do is point out the fact that just the mere fact that he exists and didn't implode his own fucking universe by getting bitten by a radioactive spider from another universe, resulting in Earth 1610's Peter Parker dying when he shouldn't have, breaking the canon far worse than Miguel ever didn't in fact immediately rip his own universe apart. The fact that Miles doesn't point this out, in fact nobody does, the fact that the writers deliberately wrote that Miles wouldn't immediately point this out just to continue its dumbass plot speaks wonders. But the really awful fact of the matter is, not only does Miles not point this out, nobody does. Because A, everyone is an idiot in this movie, when again they're meant to be geniuses, remember? Remember, these are all spider people, Peter Parker is a genius, and all of these fuckers are meant to be super smart. Remember, geniuses, and none of them fucking point this out. Reason B, nobody points this out because Miguel is in fact correct, and the movie treats his canon algorithm as a correct phenomenon, except the film, as I previously stated, was simply picking and choosing when the canon breaking matters, again, not staying consistent to its own fucking rules. And of course, reason C, all of the fucking above. Lastly, and more to the widely accepted criticism of every Peter Parker just blindly buying into Miguel's canon logic and casting aside their principles, their entire character in fact, and all of the qualities that define their heroism in favor of letting innocent people die, even if it's Uncle Ben.
If not for Uncle Ben and all the good we did, it wouldn't have been done.
Peter, I need you to hold my ears.
As stupid and character-destroying as that was, at least it was done for something. There's a tiny sliver of reasoning to how stupid all of these geniuses, again, let me reiterate, they're geniuses, remember? There is a tiny sliver of reasoning for how stupid all of these geniuses are acting here, because if Miguel is correct about the canon, and how it breaks the universe if it is not adhered to, as stupid of a plot device as that is, at least all of these Peter Parkers agree with him, blindly, mind you, but still agree with him for the explicit reason of saving lives. Which is certainly better than the alternative, because if Miguel is wrong, as some of these Spider-Verse fanatics are insisting on, that means every single Peter Parker blindly followed his logic and let countless people die for absolutely nothing. Further sticking it to fans of Peter Parker who, the majority of which had no issue whatsoever with the character of Miles Morales, but who the writers were just oh so insecure about, So they tried to quote-unquote stick it to them for thinking the role of Peter Parker and Spider-Man should be unique and special for the character.
We wanted to talk directly to that and actually almost stick it to that mentality of, no, anyone can wear the mask.
It was bad enough making every single Peter Parker that ever existed an idiot, just unanimously buying into Miguel's retarded logic without protest. They're all just stupid, hive-minded idiots now. But to render that completely pointless and saying Miguel is wrong and the whole canon-breaking algorithm was nonsensical to begin with, despite the movie having shown, again, cause and effect for validating it, that would make things even worse. Because it renders all these Peter Parkers, they're all just stupid, hive-minded idiots now that buy into retarded logic for meaning that isn't fucking there. Almost like the writers were projecting something about their targeted, fanatical fucking audience onto this movie. But if this same rebuttal coming from these same fanatics insisting that Miguel being wrong is the point of Across the Spider-Verse, then that would be the ultimate middle finger at Peter Parker. And you know what? Maybe that is the purpose. You know what? I can totally buy at this point that Miguel OHara being wrong about the canon could be the big twist for the conclusion of the Spider-Verse trilogy, despite the fact that this would, again, contradict a shit ton of setup that Across the Spider-Verse established. But casting the middle finger at longtime fans of Peter Parker seems to be the point of the story that the writers are going for. So yes, they could very well pull the rug out from under the movie and say, psych, all that canon stuff was meaningless and Miguel was totally wrong. Congratulations, Spider-Verse fanatics, your theory would indeed be correct. Yet another occasion where the writers let the meta and the climate surrounding their story influence their fucking story instead of just telling the fucking story. But again, like I said, they can meta backtrack all the fuck they want, throw us a curveball and say Miguel was wrong about everything, but it ain't gonna save this shitty plot from being a pile of shit. In fact, one could argue it would actually make things worse. And like I said previously, the damage has already been done. They've already laid precedent for the plot to go in one direction. So if the twist is, yeah, not really, and all that canon stuff becomes meaningless because Miguel turned out to be wrong, well then it's just going to be fucking so amusing seeing the explanation they cook up to retroactively explain away all this shit, and not to mention all the brand new problems that will arise as a result. Maybe next time they'll just focus on telling a good story instead of projecting their insecurities about their characters supposedly not being liked back onto fans loyal to the franchise and the character of Spider-Man and letting that dictate the course of their story. Now I need all of you to listen carefully for what I'm about to say next. I don't like when people use the criticism of they should have done this or they should have done that. In fact, I consider it a non-starter when it comes to criticizing movies or anything really. We are the audience. We are there to indulge someone else's story, not our own. And I absolutely despise how people can sometimes use their personal wish list as some sort of crutch for criticizing a movie they don't like, simply because they didn't get what they want, or because they thought they could do it better, because I have zero interest in some other audience member's personal fucking checklist for how someone else's story should go. So that being said, this plot is so batshit fucking baffling to me that of all the fucking directions they could have gone in with a Spider-Verse sequel having the multiverse as a premise to utilize however they see fit, and this was the story they chose to tell. Not to mention, they could have chosen any fucking Spider-Man characters they wanted to be a part of the main ensemble cast of characters. And this is what they chose. And what they ended up doing was trivializing the multiverse, the character of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, pushing a very on-the-nose agenda of politically woke garbage, and shoving a metric quantum fuck-ton of cameos in there to boot in order to cushion the blow for so many that would have no doubt called this film out otherwise, but didn't because Sony knew just how fucking shallow those reviewers truly are. But yeah, like I said, they could have done anything else. Anything that was a sensible use of the multiverse that did justice to the character and arc of Miles Morales without shitting on just about everything that came before, and for the love of Christ, sticking to their own continuity and not selfishly and awfully, mind you, trying to recontextualize every single Spider-Man continuity retroactively to serve their story and agenda. Kindly fuck yourselves for doing that, by the way, if I hadn't already said. So yeah, to conclude, for all of those who said I was quote-unquote missing the point with Across the Spider-Verse and that the movie is perfectly aware of the canon-breaking stuff and that it doesn't make sense and that Miguel has been wrong all this time, nice try. But your argument, correct or not, doesn't actually solve anything. It, in many ways, makes the Spider-Verse sequels make even less sense and even more broken, and in other ways is even more insulting to fans of Peter Parker who the writers of this film were deliberately trying to spite by their own admission. At this point, the Spider-Verse sequels might be better off sticking to the canon-breaking plotline and just try to explain away as much as they can, but I consider the final Spider-Verse movie to be a lost cause at this point, though I suppose time will tell. My full review of Across the Spider-Verse will eventually come out. Remember, this canon-breaking plotline was just one issue that I had with the film. I have many others, and that video will be out at some point, but there's several other videos I'd like to make first. I'll keep working on it little by little until it's finally ready. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for staying till the end. I appreciate it. You are all legends, and I'll see you next time.